Thank you so much for coming, everyone. This is a presentation that is run by CVITP through CRA, and I have Wendy today. She's gonna run the presentation. And thank you so much, Jamie and Janae, as well, for helping out and being here. Jamie and Janae will be answering any of your questions through on the chat. So when Wendy does the presentation, feel free to put your questions on the chat, and Jamie and Janae will be answering them as fast as they can, of course. If you have any questions, you wanna unmute yourself and you wanna say something or ask something, please can you wait until the very end when Wendy is all done? You can always put your questions there on the chat, but when it comes to the speaking part, we would prefer, if you don't mind, just to wait until the very end and you can unmute and ask the questions. Yes, Nolly, do you have something or?
No, it's okay. Oh, sorry. No, it's okay.
Okay, so okay. Okay, perfect. So we can start right now, and any people who are going to be coming, I'll just be admitting them as they come. Yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on the chat. Jamie, Janae, and myself as well. Sounds good? Thank you so much, everyone. Please go ahead, Wendy. And I just want to say thank you, Wendy, for allowing me to record this. So I'm recording it, everyone. And later on, if if you had to go, or a friend or someone who could not attend because of timing or what have you, I will definitely share the recording. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm just gonna get my screen ready to share here so I can share the presentation with you guys.
Yeah, take your time.
Thank you. Okay, can you see the screen okay? Okay, perfect.
Perfect.
Thank you. Welcome everyone, my name is Wendy Sampson. So during this presentation, I'm going to touch on the Canadian tax system, some of the benefits and credits you could get, how to keep your payments, and some things you should know, how to manage your tax and benefit affairs securely, some of the services and tools the Canada Revenue Agency offers. So here are some of the topics that we're going to cover today. So we're going to look at the Canadian tax system, residency status, social insurance numbers, filing a tax return, tax credits, benefits and credits, Canada Recovery Benefits, the underground economy, CVITP, My Account, scams, and learning about taxes. So Canada's tax system is similar to that of many countries. Employers and other payers usually deduct taxes from the income they pay you. Many of the benefits people enjoy in Canada are made possible through taxes. Canada's tax system pays for roads, schools, healthcare, social security, and public safety, and many more things. The Canada Revenue Agency, CRA for short, administers tax laws for the Government of Canada and for most of the provinces and territories. The CRA also administers federal, provincial, and territorial programs funded through the tax system. These programs provide benefit and credit payments to help individuals and families like yourselves. Canada's tax system is based on a self-assessment. So that means that you voluntarily report your annual income, and you do this by completing an income tax and benefit return and sending it to the CRA every year. The tax year is the same as the calendar year, and it runs from January 1st to December 31st. So under the Canada's tax system, your requirement to complete an income tax and benefit return and your entitlement to certain social benefits in Canada are based on your residency status for income tax purposes. So your residency status is about your physical location or where you reside and is separate from your citizenship. Even if you're not a citizen, permanent resident, or a protected person, you may still be considered a resident of Canada for income tax purposes. The CRA determines if you're a resident of Canada for the income tax and benefit purposes by looking at your residential ties to Canada. Significant residential ties to Canada include having a home in Canada, a spouse or common law partner living in Canada, or dependents who live in Canada. Other residential ties that may be relevant include a Canadian driver's license, Canadian bank accounts or credit cards, and health insurance with a Canadian province or territory. So if you're an international student studying in Canada, you're considered to be a resident, even if you reside in Canada for only part of the year, a non-resident, a deemed resident, or a deemed non-resident. So generally, if you've entered Canada and intend to settle here long-term, you are seen as a resident of Canada for income tax purposes on the date you arrived. Students who do establish residential ties or who stay in Canada for 183 days or more in the calendar year have to pay tax in Canada on the world income, unless they are considered a deemed non-resident. World income is income from all sources earned inside and outside Canada. If a student receives income from their home country's government while a resident in Canada, it is possible that it will be exempt from taxation in Canada. So for more information, you can go to canada.ca/taxes-newcomers or read the pamphlet 24055 Newcomers to Canada, and that's available on the canada.ca website. So for international students here today, generally, undergraduate international students have not established significant residential ties with Canada if they return to their home country on a periodic basis or for a significant amount of time in the calendar year, or if they move to another country when not attending school in Canada. However, many international students who are at the postgraduate level studying or carrying on research in Canada do establish significant residential ties with Canada, as they could be in Canada for a number of years. In addition, graduate students are often adult-aged, married parents, and easily establish residential ties in Canada. So for more information on determining your residency status, you can go to canada.ca/CRA-determining residency status. And there's more detailed information available in the Income Tax Folio S5-F1-C1 called Determining an Individual's Residency Status. And we also have a webpage where you'll find information specifically for international students at canada.ca/taxes-international students. So if you'd like the CRA's opinion on your residency status, fill out Form NR74, Determination of Residency Status, Entering Canada. And these forms and publications are available online, or you can call the CRA. So Canadian citizens, permanent residents, and temporary residents need a social insurance number, also called a SIN for short, to work in Canada or to receive benefits and services from the government. You'll need to include it on your income tax and benefit applications. And you can apply for a SIN online, by mail, or in person. For more information on how to get a SIN, go to the canada.ca/social insurance number or call 1-800-206-7218 and select option 3. If you're not eligible to get a SIN, fill out Form T1261, Application for a Canada Revenue Agency Individual Tax Number, an ITN, for non-residents, and send it to the CRA. Do not send this form if you already have a SIN, individual tax number, or temporary tax number, or are waiting for a SIN application to be processed. The CRA will then assign you a temporary tax number that you'll be able to use on your income tax and benefit return on your application forms until you're eligible for a SIN. So we just talked about residency, and that if you are a resident for tax purposes, you should do a tax return in order to receive benefits and credits. You don't have to fill out a tax return the year you become a resident in Canada. However, you will still have to do so between mid-February and April 30th of the next year to report the income you received from the date you became a resident in Canada to December 31st of that year. CRA will use the information from your tax return to calculate any benefit and credit payments you may be eligible for. So if you're a resident of Canada, even if you lived in Canada for only part of the year, you may have to complete a Canadian tax return. For example, you must file a tax return if you have to pay tax. You have to file a return if you want to claim a tax refund or if you want to get benefit and credit payments. So if you're a non-resident of Canada, you must complete a tax return if you have to pay tax. You have to file a tax return if you want to get a refund. You may also be entitled to claim certain deductions or credits, but you're not eligible for benefit and credit payments. For more information on that, you can go to the website you see on the screen, canada.ca/taxes newcomers, or canada.ca/CRA non-residents Canada. So there's a number of ways you can choose to do your taxes. The fastest and the easiest way is to do them online. You use certified software or a web application found at canada.ca/netfile, some of which are free. The tax software guides you through the process. It calculates everything for you and helps make sure you don't miss out on any benefits and credits you may be eligible for. You can also do them on paper by downloading a tax package for your province, filling out the forms and mailing them to the CRA. If you prefer, you can fill out the forms on your computer before printing them. To get a tax package, go to canada.ca/taxes general package. And if you have a modest income and a simple tax situation, a volunteer from the Community Volunteer Income Tax Program could do your taxes for you for free. And we'll talk more about this program later in the presentation. So now let's get on to the benefits and the credits. For those of you who are students, let's touch on the tuition credit. So this is not a payout of money directly to you. It is a credit to reduce the amount of tax you may have to pay. If you don't need this tax credit to reduce your income to a zero this year, you may be able to carry it forward, all of it or part of it, in a future year. To calculate the tuition amount you can claim on your return, you fill out Schedule 11, tuition, education, and textbook amounts. The amount you can claim on your return is generally 15% of the amount on the tax certificate, T2202A, and you would have received that from your educational institution. So this, depending on your province or territory of residence, you may also need to fill out a provincial or a territorial tax and credit form. There's also a publication guide specific to students. If you go to canada.ca, in the search box, enter P105, and that'll bring you to the students and the income tax guide, or go to canada.ca/taxes-students, and here you're going to find a list of common credits for students. You may be eligible for other benefits and credits, such as Canada Child Benefit, GST, HST credit, disability tax credit, child disability benefit, and other related provincial and territorial payments. So for more information on the benefits and credits, you can go to canada.ca/child family benefits. So let's talk about some of these benefits and credits. So the first one is the Canada Child Benefit, or CCB for short. It's a tax-free monthly payment that helps with the cost of raising children under the age of 18 years. Depending on income and age of child, you could get up to $6,765 per child per year. To be eligible, you must meet the 3 basic criteria. Be the person who takes care of the child under the age of 18 who lives with you, be a resident of Canada for income tax purposes, and you or your spouse or common law partner must be a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident, protected person, or a temporary resident who has lived in Canada throughout the previous 18 months and who has a valid permit on the 19th month. Applying for the CCB will also register the child for the child portion of the GST and any related provincial or territorial payments. CRA calculates the benefit payment every July based on you and your spouse's net income from the year before. So for example, you'll be doing a 2020 tax return in the coming months. That information will be used to calculate your payments starting July 2021. So now you might be wondering which parent should apply for the CCB. The mother should apply for the CCB if the child lives with both their mother and father in the same home. The father can apply, but he will need to include a letter from the child's mother saying he's the primary caregiver of the child. And if the child lives with the same-sex parents, only one parent should apply for the CCB. So to apply for the CCB, there are a couple of forms you'll need to fill out and send to the CRA, but you only have to do this once. You won't have to reapply every year. However, if you have another child after you've applied, you will have to send in another application for that new child for the following years. The CRA will calculate your payments every July after you do your taxes. The first one is Form RC66 called the Canada Child Benefits Application. Note that all the forms I'll be talking about today are available on the canada.ca website. So on Form RC66, there are fields to fill out with information up to 2 children. If you have more than 2 children, you'll have to fill out RC66-1 called Additional Children, or attach a separate sheet of paper to the form with all the same information. And please note, if the CRA has never paid benefits for the children you're applying for, you'll have to attach a proof of birth for any of these children who were born outside of Canada or are more than a year old. Because you're new to Canada, we also need you to know that your income in your home country, so we can calculate your benefits. You only need to fill out this form once every year. Afterwards, you just file your tax return. It'll be recalculated every year for you. If you do not fill out this form, you will not receive benefits. So as explained earlier, the CRA calculates your payments based on your net income from last year. Because you likely haven't filed a Canadian tax return last year, there is a form you'll need to send to provide that information to the CRA. And this form is a Schedule RC66-SCH, also called Status in Canada, and income information for the Canada Child Benefits Application. You'll have to fill out this form if you or your spouse or common law partner became a new resident or returned as a resident of Canada in the last 2 years, became a Canadian citizen in the last 12 months, are a permanent resident, protected person, or a temporary resident who has lived in Canada for the previous 18 months and who has had a valid permit on the 19th month, or are an Indian as defined in the Indian Act, not a Canadian citizen. So on this form, you'll need to provide your income from all sources for the year you became a resident of Canada and the year before. If you have a spouse or common law partner who is also a new resident of Canada, you'll have to include their income even if it's 0. You might have to include your income for 2 years before you became a resident, depending on the date you became a resident of Canada. So as I mentioned earlier, to continue getting your payments, you or your spouse or common law partner must each do your taxes on time for the period you became residents in Canada. If your spouse or common law partner is non-resident of Canada during any part of the year, you'll have to fill out a form CTB9 called Income of Non-Resident Spouse or Common Law Partner. And you can send that in with your tax return after each year or part of the year that they were a non-resident in Canada. So the next one we're going to discuss is the GST-HST credit. And this GST-HST credit is tax that you pay on most goods and services sold or provided in Canada. In some provinces, the GST is combined with that of provincial sales tax to form the HST. The GST-HST credit helps modest income individuals and families offset all or part of their GST or HST that they pay. You may be entitled to the GST credit after your arrival in Canada if you are considered a resident of Canada for tax purposes. If you are eligible, you can apply for the GST-HST credit after your arrival. You have to be 19 years of age or older, or if you're under 19 and you have a spouse or common law partner, or you are a parent with your child. You can get up to $592 per year depending on your income. Also, if you have children, you can get up to $155 per year per child. Payments for GST are issued on the 5th of January, April, July, and October. So if you've applied for the CCB for your children, they're also registered for the GST credit, and you will get an additional amount for each child as long as the child is eligible. And you may get related provincial or territorial payments too. So for more information on this, you can go to canada.ca/GST HST credit. So as mentioned, newcomers to Canada have to apply for the GST credit using Form RC 151, called GST HST credit application for individuals who become residents of Canada. You only have to apply once in the year you become a resident of Canada. After that, the CRA will determine if you're eligible when you do your taxes every year. On this form, you have to enter your income from the year you became a resident of Canada and your income from the year before or 2 years before, depending on the date you became a resident of Canada. So please note that if you have children, you send Form RC66 and Schedule RC66SCH to the CRA to apply for the Canada Child Benefit. You don't have to send in Form RC 151. The CRA will use the information from the forms you sent to determine if you're eligible for the GST HST credit and to calculate your payment amounts. If you don't have children, fill out RC 151 and send it to the CRA. So the disability tax credit. In Canada, we recognize that people with disabilities have additional expenses that others do not. The disability tax credit, also called DTC for short, helps with the cost associated with the disability. So to be eligible for the DTC, a person must have a severe or prolonged impairment in physical or mental functions. You do not get a payment for the DTC, but it reduces the amount of tax you may have to pay. And you can also transfer any unused portion of the disability amount to any supporting family member. If you are eligible for the DTC, you can claim the disability amount on your tax return. There's also a supplement you can claim for persons under the age of 18. You can claim the DTC for yourself, your dependent, or your spouse or common law partner. Also, being eligible for the DTC could open the door to other federal and provincial programs, such as the Registered Disability Savings Plan and the Child Disability Benefit. So if your child has a disability, you should apply for the disability tax credit. If the CRA determines that your child is eligible, you would only have to claim the disability amount on your tax return, but you would also get the child disability benefit. It is a tax-free payment of up to $2,886 per year for families who care for a child under the age of 18 who is eligible for the disability tax credit. The child disability benefit is paid monthly to the person who receives the Canada Child Benefit for that child. If you want more information on the DTC and who is eligible for it, you can go to the web address that's shown on your screen. So to apply for the DTC, you'll have to send in the form T2201 called Disability Tax Credit Certificate to the CRA. It is a 3-step process. So first, you're going to fill out Part A of the form with your personal information. Then you have to ask a medical doctor or nurse practitioner to fill out Part B of the form to certify that you or your spouse or common law partner or your dependent has a severe or prolonged impairment in physical or mental functions. Medical doctor also needs to describe how the impairment affects your or your spouse or common law partner or your dependent's ability to do basic activities of daily living. And the last step is to send the form to the CRA. The CRA will then review your application, and if the CRA needs more information, they'll contact you or your medical doctor. It is important to keep in mind that eligibility for the DTC is based on the effects of the impairment and not on the medical condition itself. Once you or your spouse or common law partner or your eligible dependent is eligible, you can claim the disability amount on your income tax and benefit return. The Canada Workers Benefit is a refundable tax credit that provides tax relief for eligible low-income individuals and families who are in the workforce. It is intended to supplement low-income earners. If you're eligible for the Canada Workers Benefit, you can claim a refundable tax credit up to $2,335 on your return. If you are eligible for the Canada Workers, to be eligible for the Canada Workers Benefit, you must be a resident of Canada for income tax purposes throughout the year. That's from January 1st to December 31st. And you have to be 19 years of age or older on December 31st. If you're under 19 on December 31st, you have a spouse or common law partner or an eligible dependent. You are not eligible for the Canada Workers Benefit if you're enrolled as a full-time student for more than 13 weeks in years, unless on December 31st, you have an eligible dependent. To calculate the Canada Workers Benefit, you need to fill out Schedule 6, found in the tax package for your province. If using tax software to do your return, it will calculate the benefit for you. If you're able to estimate your working income for the upcoming year, you could receive up to 50% of your Canada Workers Benefit as an advance payment, which will be paid out in 4 separate payments throughout the year. You need to fill out the form RC201, Canada Workers Benefit Advance Payments Application, or apply on My Account. The payments are a maximum of 50% of the Canada Workers Benefit that you expect to claim on your income tax and benefit return. Any part of the Canada Workers Benefit that you do not receive as advance payments will be paid after the CRA assesses your return. So please note that the applications for the Canada Workers Benefit advance payments are only accepted from January 1st to August 31st of the current year. Depending on when you apply, you may receive 1, 2, 3, or 3 payments as opposed to the 4. So to get an estimate of the payment amounts you could get, you can go to canada.ca/child family benefits calculator. This tool calculates any federal or provincial or territorial payments you may be eligible for. So in an effort to continue to help Canadians during the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, the Government of Canada has created 3 new benefits: the Canada Recovery Benefits, Canada Recovery Sickness Benefit, Canada Recovery Caregivers Benefit. Each benefit has specific eligibility criteria and amounts it will pay out. You can apply for these benefits online through My Account or by using the automated toll-free line at 1-800-959-2019, or you can call 1-800-959-2041. And if you sign up for direct deposit, you should receive your payment within 3 to 5 days. Otherwise, you'll receive a check in the mail within 10 to 12 business days. So the Canada Recovery Benefit, CRB for short, gives income support to employed and self-employed individuals who are directly affected by COVID-19 and are not entitled to employment insurance benefits. So how much you will get? You will receive $1,000 for each 2-week period that you apply for. 10% tax will be withheld from this, so the actual payment you get will be for $900 for a 2-week period. You'll have to reimburse 50 cents of the CRB for every dollar of net income you've earned above $38,000 on your income tax return. So the eligibility periods. So each CRB eligibility period is a specific 2-week period, and it begins and ends on a specific date. So you can only apply for a maximum of 13 periods, and that's 26 weeks. And to be eligible for the CRA, you must meet all of the following conditions for the 2-week period you're applying for. So during the period you're applying, you were not employed or self-employed for reasons related to COVID-19, or you had a 50% reduction in the average weekly income compared to the previous years due to the COVID-19. You did not apply or receive any of the following benefits: Canada Recovery Sickness Benefit, Canada Recovery Caregiving Benefit, short-term disability benefits, workers' compensation benefits, employment insurance benefits, or the Quebec Parental Insurance Plan. You were not eligible for EI benefits. You reside in Canada. You were present in Canada. You are at least 15 years old. You have a valid social insurance number. You earned at least $5,000 in 2019, 2020, or in the 12-month period before the date you apply for any of the following sources: employment income, net self-employment income, so that's after deducting expenses, maternity and parental benefits from EI or similar QPIP benefits. You have not quit your job or reduced your hours voluntarily on or after September 27, 2020, unless it was reasonable to do so. You were seeking work during the period, either as an employee or in self-employment, and you have not turned down reasonable work during the 2-week period for which you're applying. So the Canada Recovery Sickness Benefit, CRSB for short, gives income support to employed and self-employed individuals who are unable to work because they're sick or need to self-isolate due to COVID-19 or have an underlying health condition that puts them at a greater risk of getting COVID-19. So the CRSB provides a payment of $500 for each 1-week period you apply for. After the CRA withholds 10% tax at source, the actual payment you will get is $450 per 1-week period. Your payment amount will be the same for each period you've applied for, even if you've worked for part of the week. To be eligible, you must have missed more than 50% of your work week. So the CRSB does not renew automatically. So if your situation continues, you must apply for your second eligibility period separately. So you may apply for any eligible 1-week period for up to 60 days after that period has ended. You can apply for a maximum of 2 weeks between September 27, 2020 and September 25th, 2021. The 2 weeks do not have to be taken consecutively. So if you become sick or have to self-isolate due to COVID-19 partway through a period, you can only apply for the period if you've missed more than 50% of that work week. If you miss less than that, you need to wait to apply for the next eligibility period. So the criteria for applying for the Canada Sickness Benefit, you must meet all the following conditions for the 1-week period you're applying. So you're unable to work at least 50% of your scheduled work week because you're self-isolating for one of the following reasons: you're sick with COVID-19 or may have COVID-19. You're advised to self-isolate due to COVID-19. You have an underlying health condition that puts you at a greater risk of getting COVID-19. You did not apply for or receive any of the following benefits for the same period: the Canada Recovery Benefit, short-term disability, workers' compensation, employment insurance benefits, or the Quebec Parental Insurance Plan. You have to reside in Canada, be present in Canada, at least 15 years old, have a valid social insurance number, earned at least $5,000 in 2019, 2020, or in the 12 months before the date you apply for any of the following sources: employment income, so that's your total or gross pay; net self-employment income, so that's after deducting your expenses; maternity and parental benefits from EI or a similar QPIP benefit; and you're not receiving paid leave from your employer for the same period. The Canada Recovery Caregiving Benefit. This benefit gives support to income support to employed and self-employed individuals who are unable to work because they must care for a child under the age of 12 or a family member who needs supervised care. This applies if their school, regular program, or facility is closed or unavailable to them due to COVID-19, or because they're sick, self-isolating, or at a risk of a serious health complication due to COVID-19. The CRCB provides a payment of $500 per household for each 1-week period applied for. After the CRA withholds 10% at source, the actual payment you would get is $450 per week per 1-week period. Only one eligible individual in the same household, so living as a family at the same address, can apply for the benefit per week. Each household may receive payments for a maximum of 26 weeks between September 27, 2020 and September 25th, 2021. If you're eligible, your payment amount will be the same for each period you've applied for, even if you're caring for more than one family member who needs supervised care and you worked for less than 50% of the work week. So the eligibility periods for the CRCB is a specific 1 week period. When you apply, your household will receive $500 and $450 after taxes are withheld as a payment for that period. The CRCB does not renew automatically. So if your situation continues, you must reapply for your second eligibility period separately. You may apply for any eligible 1 week period for up to 60 days after that period has ended. So each household can apply up to a maximum of 26 periods between September 27, 2020 and September 25th, 2021. The 26 weeks do not need to be taken consecutively. So if you started caring for a family member partway through a period, you can only apply for that period if you've missed more than 50% of that work week. If you miss less than that, you need to wait to apply for the next eligibility period. So the eligibility criteria. So to be eligible for this benefit, you have to meet all of the conditions for the 1 week period. So it's much the same as the other benefits. You're unable to work at least 50% of your scheduled work week because you're caring for a family member. You're caring for your child under the age of 12 or a family member who needs supervised care because they're at home for one or more of the following reasons. Their school or daycare program or care facility is closed or unavailable to them due to COVID-19. Their regular care services are unavailable due to COVID-19. The person under your care is sick with COVID-19 or has symptoms of COVID-19, at risk of serious health complications if they get COVID-19, as advised by a medical professional, or self-isolating. Did not apply or receive any of the following benefits for the same period: the Canada Recovery Benefit, sickness benefit, short-term disability, workers' compensation, employment insurance benefits, or the Quebec Parental Insurance Plan benefits. You reside in Canada, were present in Canada at least 15 years of age, have a valid social insurance number, earned at least $5,000 in 2019, 20, or in the 12 months before the date you apply from any of the following sources. So that would be employment income, net self-employment income, and maternity and parental benefits from EI or similar QPIP benefits. You are the only person in your household applying for the benefit for the week, and you're not receiving paid leave from your employer for the same period. So if you received any of the COVID-19 emergency or recovery benefits, you'll get a T4A slip from the Canada Revenue Agency. Quebec residents will get both a T4A and an RL-1 slip. The CRA will provide T4A slips starting January 2021. You should receive your T4A slip before March 10th, 2021. COVID-19 benefit payment amounts from your T4A must be reported as income on your 2020 income tax and benefit return. So if you received a benefit and did not get the T4A slip before March 10th, 2021, you can get your T4A information from CRA My Account or by contacting the CRA at 1-800-959-8281. And if you've applied for a COVID-19 benefit with Service Canada, you're going to receive a T4E slip instead of a T4A. And for more information on that, you can go to canada.ca/ESDC. So if you have any issues with your T4A slip, you should call the CRA right away, especially if the T4A slip does not show the correct amounts. You can view the amounts you received in My Account. You repaid the benefits before December 31st, 2020, and the repayments are not reflected on the slip. And you did not apply for a COVID-19 benefit, but received a T4A slip. And the number you can call is 1-800-959-8281. So when you're reporting the T4A amounts on your income tax return, you'll need to enter the COVID-19 benefit amount from your T4A slip on line 13,000 of your 2020 income tax and benefit return. Any taxes withheld will be reported on line 43700. and remember to keep all your tax documents for at least 6 years. So we're going to discuss the underground economy. So when we talk about the underground economy, we mean anytime you're working and receiving cash that's not reported anywhere. So in Canada, you have to report all of your income. You have to keep track of all the money you made during the year and report it on your income tax and benefit return. Your income may include cash payments you receive for goods and services, money you earned renting out a room of your home, and tips. The CRA does check tax returns for accuracy. So if your return is reviewed and you didn't report all of your income, you may have to pay the income tax you didn't pay, plus interest and penalties. There is another thing to consider when working for cash in the underground economy. Make sure you work for employers who protect you. If you accept a job and are being paid cash and there are no deductions, that employer is avoiding paying taxes. He is likely not paying insurance premiums to protect you if you get injured on the job. So this puts you at risk if you no longer have an income that the employer and you have no insurance from the employment insurance program. It is important to not only make sure you are paying your fair share in taxes, but also think carefully about who you do business with. When we talk about receiving cash for work, we should also mention that sometimes you could be approached to buy something for cash without a receipt. Always get a written contract or receipt when buying goods or services. If you don't get a receipt to prove you purchased something, such as a new television, you're not protected if something goes wrong and you want a refund. You'll lose your money. So now I'm going to talk to you about some of the other services and tools the CRA offers in order to assist you with your tax and benefit affairs. So as mentioned earlier, you can file your taxes through the Community Volunteer Income Tax Program. The CRA works with community organizations and their volunteers to help eligible individuals by doing their taxes for free, which ensures they get the benefit and credit payments to which they may be entitled. Volunteers prepare tax returns for people who have a modest income and a simple tax situation for free. To be eligible for this service, your total family income should be less than the amount shown in the chart on the screen. So in general, your tax situation is simple. If you have no income or if your income from employment benefits such as social assistance, support payments, scholarships, fellowships, bursaries, or grants, or interest under $1,000. Your tax situation is not simple if you're self-employed or have employment expenses, have business or rental income and expenses, have capital gains or losses, or filed for bankruptcy. And you can get more information on this by going to canada.ca/taxes-help. So in light of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, community organizations in partnership with the CRA's Community Volunteer Income Tax Program will continue to offer virtual tax clinics. So virtual tax clinics connect eligible individuals with trained volunteers who will complete and file the tax return by video conference or phone, modified pickup or drop off for free. So if you want to help people in your community, volunteer with a community organization to help people by doing their taxes. With CVITP, you'll be helping thousands of people get the benefits and the credits they're entitled to. So to become a volunteer, you must register online at canada.ca/taxes-volunteer. You have to meet security requirements to be approved to use e-file. In 2019, in Canada, over 2,800 community organizations and more than 16,500 volunteers filed over 765,000 income tax returns on behalf of eligible individuals. So the CRA can deposit your tax refund and your benefit and credit payments directly into your bank account instead of mailing you a check. Direct deposit gives you faster access to your money. So to sign up, you'll need to provide your social insurance number, the name of your bank or financial institution, and your branch and account numbers. Your account information is printed at the bottom of any check for the account that you want to use, for us to use to deposit your payment. If you do not have a checking account, ask your financial institution for this information. And you can sign up for direct deposit in several ways. You can do it by mail, by phone at 1-800-959-8281. And you can do it through My Account or through your financial institution. So for more information or to get a form, you can go to the web address on your screen. So responding to letters from the CRA. So after you've applied for benefits and credits, the CRA may call or send you a letter if they need to confirm some of the information that they have on file about you. Often the letter will ask for proof of your marital status or proof that you are a person primarily responsible for your child. Getting this letter is normal and you need to respond quickly after receiving it. If you don't, your benefit and credit payments could stop. If you don't understand what the CRA is asking for, or if you need more time to gather information, call the telephone number on the letter. The CRA may ask for documents that you have a hard time finding, especially if you came to Canada as a refugee. So by calling the CRA, you might be able to send a letter from a third party instead, like a sponsor, a resettlement officer, a support service or agency, or Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada. So if there's been a change in your life, should you need to update your information, you should update your information with the CRA as soon as possible. So it's important to let the CRA know if your marital status has changed, the number of children or percentage of the time they are in your care changes, you have a new address, or you experience a death in your family. Keeping your information up to date will make sure that you keep getting the correct amount of benefit payments. So for example, you should let the CRA know if you separate from your spouse or common law partner. This means that your payments will be calculated using only your income. If you separated under difficult and abusive circumstances, the CRA will never ask you to contact that abusive spouse or common law partner. So you can update your information by visiting My Account or by calling 1-800-387-1193. So once the CRA has assessed your first tax return, you can sign up for the CRA online service called My Account. So when you log into My Account, for the first page you will see is the overview page. This page is constantly evolving, but should resemble what you see on the screen. CRA also has mobile apps that you can download to your mobile device. My Benefit CRA and My CRA. On My CRA mobile app, you can securely view and update key portions of your tax and personal information, including signing up for direct deposit. With My Account, you can track your refund, view or change your return, check your benefit and credit payments, set up direct deposit, change your personal information, and so much more. It's an online service that is available at all times. And for more information or to sign up, you can go to canada.ca/myCRA account. So if you haven't filed a return, you will not be able to sign up for My Account. So before starting, here's what you need in order to sign up for the account. You need your social insurance number, date of birth, current postal code or zip code, an amount from either this year or last year's income tax and benefit return, a copy of the return. This will be handy for the registration as the line amount requested could vary. There are two options to register for My Account. So you can log in or register with the same sign-in information you use for online services, such as your online banking. Your personal information and the amount from a tax return will also be required for this option. Or you can choose option 2, log in with your CRA user ID and password or register. Once you click on register, personal information will be required as mentioned earlier. You'll need to have information from your tax return while you're completing the registration. You will then need to create a CRA user ID and password. Once you've completed the registration successfully, you'll have limited access to some of your tax information in My Account. So to gain full access to My Account, a CRA security code will be required. The code will be mailed to you after the registration is completed. So the last topic I want to touch with you is scams. So there's many types of fraud out there. Some of the most common include aggressive phone calls that threaten arrest unless you pay an amount, demands that you pay in gift cards or prepaid credit cards, emails or text messages that ask you to claim a free tax rebate, or emails with links that ask you to provide personal or financial information. These scams may insist that this personal information is needed so that you can receive a refund or a benefit payment. Cases of fraudulent communication could also involve threatening language to scare you into paying false debt to the CRA. Other communications ask you to visit a fake CRA website where you are then asked to verify your identity by entering personal information. These are scams, and you should never respond to these fraudulent communications or click on any of the links provided. And keep in mind that CRA will never use text messages to communicate with you. So when in doubt, ask yourself, is there any reason why CRA is calling? Do I have an outstanding tax balance? Is the requester asking for information that I wouldn't normally include in a tax return? Am I expecting more money from the CRA? And does this sound too good to be true? You can report a scam to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre online or at the web address on your screen, or by calling 1-888-495-8501. So if you suspect you may be a victim of fraud, you should contact your local police. But today I'm giving you an overview of the Canadian tax and benefit system. If you want to learn more about the Canadian tax system, we have a free online course that teaches you the basics of tax. You can access this course at canada.ca/understanding-taxes. So this is the end of the presentation, and I hope you found the information valuable. And if you have any questions on benefit payments, you can contact the CRA at 1-800-387-1193, or if you have a tax-related question, you can call 1-800-959-8281. And don't forget, you can view your personal account information through My Account once you have it set up.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Wow. That's great information. I honestly didn't expect that to be that. It's not, of course, it's beneficial, but that condensed, it's absolutely great. Lots of information you covered. I think you covered everything. Yeah, it's absolutely amazing, and it is a refresher for me as well. And it's a great opportunity. And I see people just started to post questions just 6 minutes ago or so. And Jamie is getting into them. So do you want to take any questions? We have like 3 minutes to one. So we have less than 5 minutes. Do you want to take any questions, or do we just stay on the chat? What do you prefer, Wendy?
Well, I can leave it up to Jamie if he wants to address them through the chat, or if he wants to unmute himself and answer some questions.
Actually,
I'll leave it up to him.
It might be easier to. Can you hear me?
Perfectly.
Yes.
Yeah, it might be easier to address them as we go along. So I see one from Emem talking about he's not currently working, or he or she, sorry, came into Canada last year as a full-time student. Will I include my income from past employment before I entered Canada? I guess it really depends on your residency, like on your status, but normally when you file the return, you provide the world income from the period before you came to Canada, and then you would report your Canadian income during the year. So I hope that answers the question. You would convert your world income into Canadian dollars, EMEM, so that would hopefully answer that question. I see, Anjali, if we are filing the return for the first time, how do we create an account without any return? So in that case, you likely, to my knowledge, you wouldn't be able to create a My Account. You would need to have something on file with the CRA before you do that. And I'm just looking at, okay. If someone arrives in Canada in December 2019 and has already filed a tax return to their own country in 2020, should they still file it in Canada? So for that question, if you were, again, it all depends on the time well, they say they arrived in Canada in December 2019. So even in 2019, there should have been a partial return filed for the time you were in Canada. And it would be, so that enables you to provide your world income in Canadian dollars, but also whether you had any in Canada. But really, it's the first opportunity you would get to indicate that you're here and to start some of those benefits to come into your, to yourself or to your family. So, and having filed one in their own country in 2020, if they were in Canada in 2020, they still would need to file a Canadian return. Do your spouse and you have to register for your accounts separately? You would each have to, you would need your own account. You can only be provided My Account information for yourself, so it would be worthwhile to have a My Account for each of you. And the next question, I sent a GST HST form to CRA. Is there any way to see if the document is delivered properly? If you don't have My Account, the best way really would be to call the 1-800-959-8281. Or you can dial 1-800, now I'm missing the number here in my head, 387-1193, I think is the benefits line, which would be more so for GST HST credit, but that would be a way to find out if they've received it properly or not.
I'll put the number on the chat, the 387.
Sure, if you would, it'd be perfect. Yeah, 1193. I'm just looking to see if there's more questions there. If one starts a small business selling from home, handmade stuff, how can they provide receipts? And what is the best way? Okay. What is the best way to do this in reporting income, considering this will not generate more than $30,000 a year? So one of the things I guess that we aren't as outreach officers is small business experts. There is a difference there, obviously, if you're planning on making more than $30,000 a year. For receipts, I'm not sure. To be honest with you, we really have the training on that. But you could call 1-800-959-5525 is the business inquiries line, and they could provide you a little bit more information about that. Because we'd like to provide you with all kinds of information, but if it's not our area of expertise, we don't want to send you down the wrong path. So 1-800-959-5525 would be the business inquiries line. As a student with status of 1 year study permit, do we get any refunds or taxes on purchases made? Just the GST HST credit, if you qualify, and your situation is very unique to you, but the GST HST credit, as Wendy mentioned, is to offset some of the taxes that you paid, some of the GST or HST that you paid, but there's not a receipting sort of thing where you can claim back what you've paid. So the GST HST credit is kind of in lieu of to make up for some of the taxes that you would have paid on purchases. Will the medical expenses and training fee get credited when filing a tax return? Yes, medical expenses must be more than 3% of your net income. So if you were someone who had $20,000 in income, 3% of that would be $600. So you wouldn't be getting any benefit unless your medical expenses were more than the 3%. So you can take your income into consideration. The other thing to consider is if you didn't pay taxes in during the year, if you might have been, a student and you weren't paying a whole lot of taxes, then the medical expenses wouldn't help with they won't give you taxes back that you didn't pay in. So that's something to consider about medical expenses. Training fee, I'm not really sure if you mean education expenses. Those can be claimed on your taxes, and if you don't need them during the year that you're claiming them, you can carry those forward to a year where you are earning more income, and when you would want to use that to offset some of the taxes. So that's the good thing about education expenses, that you can carry those over to a time that you are able to use them.
Is that, are you talking about the 2202, or you're talking about like training, any kind of training?
It has to be a full-time or a part-time course, and I don't think we covered the exact information on the training. There is a really good student presentation that we have, and that I would encourage people to maybe, or through your group maybe, to take a look at, because it gets into, not all courses are a qualifying course, but for something that you would receive that education slip for, you definitely would be able to claim that. There are some courses that are shorter in duration and maybe aren't considered a full-time training course, but that would be one. If you are getting a receipt from a university or a college, those expenses or those fees would be something that you could carry forward until you needed them.
Because yeah, sometimes people, like with training, first aid training, for example, is that claimable? Even if they need it to get their job, is it?
Right off the top of my head, I can't say 100%.
Yeah.
I know there is a difference between something that is required for your job and something that is something you'd like to do. So I would kind of suggest maybe they visit the Canada.ca website on that, because I don't want to give you an answer I'm not sure of, but there is a difference in that. Some of those courses, though, of shorter duration, as I said, they wouldn't qualify under normal circumstances.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm just going to look at moving expenses that we can claim as a deduction for newcomers. I'm not I'm not sure. There is a whole section on the Canada.ca website on moving expenses. And if you're moving for work or school, those are usually, like if you're moving from one area of the country to another to enhance your employment or to go to school, those would be covered. I'm not sure. I don't have the expertise on that one. So I would just encourage them to check the moving expenses on the Canada.ca website. I'm sorry, I don't have the answer to that one.
That's okay, Jamie. I think a good point, if I can add, is if, Lena, you need a student's presentation, we can accommodate that. I think a lot of your questions are student related, such as Jamie has said, and maybe that would be good. What do you think, Jamie?
Definitely. Yeah, thank you. If we can do one for only students, international students, would be great, for sure.
Just send me
it gets into much more detail.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Janae, there's one question there about the GST forms to be filled by those without children. And for the child tax, I have to have been here for 1 year so I can still file a GST. I'm not sure if you might, Janae, you might have more.
Because there's quite a few questions.
Question from, sorry, it's the question from MM at 102.
There is no time limitation for the GST. Once you arrive here, you can definitely apply for GST credit. But if you have children, if you're an international student, you have to wait for 18 months to start receiving any child tax benefit. But GST, if you guys, if you did not fill out the form yet, if anyone wants the form, just email me. I'll send you the form with the status of Canada, because you did not file a tax return yet in Canada. You need to fill out the status in Canada form as well. Just email me. I'll send them to you. I have them on file.
Sorry, I asked a question.
Pardon?
Sorry, I just wanted to confirm, because I know that the GST, I've tried to fill it before, and it says if you have children, do not fill the GST. So that's where I'm a bit confused.
Because you're going to be filling out the child tax benefit, which will also be, it's kind of a 2-in-1. It'll base, because it's already based on the previous, but if you haven't been here for a year, for 18 months, like Lena has said, the situations are a little bit different. So for personal income tax questions, If you have specific questions about yourself, I would recommend calling the personal income tax line. But Lena has offered her help quite graciously for the form, so she would be able to guide you through that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And I see another question there. Do we get our GST, HST taxed on items purchased as students who are not yet receiving income in Canada? Yeah, everyone who goes out and buys goods will be taxed on items. So as I mentioned earlier, when you file your taxes and you'll get some GST, HST credit, it's to offset that, and that's for everyone. To my knowledge, the only times where someone wouldn't be taxed would be if it was someone of Indigenous or First Nations who has a status card that would allow them to be tax exempt. But in this case, we would all pay taxes on those items we purchase. And I see one more question there. If I own a business, not employed, not self-employed, and this is my only source of income, and due to COVID, I had no income for months, am I eligible for any benefits? I think that's where I would be encouraging you to, again, because we don't want to tell you yes or no based on a little bit of information. The telephone line that was provided there, and I'm going to find it on the COVID benefits, if you make a call to that telephone number, they will be able to determine your eligibility for some of those COVID-related benefits. And it'll take me a moment. I'll put it in the chat.
Just a disclaimer. If you own a business, it's considered being self-employed. If you're sole proprietor,
right.
You're not incorporated.
Oh, right. Yes. Sorry, I missed that part. Yeah.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
It is very confusing because often when you have a business, you don't think about that, right? You think, oh, well, my business is my business. But if you are not incorporated and you're not getting a T4, it's considered self-employed.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So if someone owned a business, a corporation, and was receiving a T4 from it, might be different, I guess. But thanks, Sinead.
Because they'd be an employee of that corporation.
An employee, yeah. Sorry, I missed I keyed on the self-employed part of it.
No, but the advice you gave is still exactly the same advice. But when you are calling, that is an important point you want to make, is you are self-employed, because that changes the whole game, because you're not an employee. Unless you're incorporated and giving yourself a T4, that's a different ball game. But like Jamie said, please do call.
And Wendy has provided the number there.
Yes. I'm not sure if I understand your question, Emily. Do you understand it, Jamie?
No, I'm just trying to confirm here. So if the employer pays employment insurance, in which situation do they claim EI? Are you, Emily, is this for the individual? If the employer is taking off employment insurance for you, in what situation would you claim EI? Maybe if you could type a little more, Emily.
Yeah, it's just because I called the ER department yesterday, and they told me the employer, they can't claim EI benefit. And when I go to the CRA website, I find that the employer can pay for the EI. Employment insurance, it's 1.4 times than employee. So I'm wondering if employer can't claim EI benefit, but why they pay for the employment insurance?
It's a contribution. So
and that's for your staff. That would be in order to like you would pay a portion, and your staff, your employee would pay a portion, which provides them benefit on the chance that you find yourself out of work temporarily, or you have to lay them off. There are other programs for employers through, like, COVID-related programs for employers through the Canada.ca website. There were some wage subsidies and some rent assistance, but all the employers do pay employment insurance, a portion of it for their employees, and they don't. Employment insurance wouldn't be something that the employer would make a claim on, but there are other benefits there for employers due to COVID-19.
Oh, you mean it's just the employer contribution to the employment insurance. They didn't pay this employment insurance for themselves. No.
Exactly.
No, not unless you choose to make employment insurance contributions for yourself as a self-employed person.
Oh, pardon? You mean self?
So a self-employed person, and again, we're not experts on this, but a self-employed person can choose to pay into employment insurance for themselves as an individual, not the business. So the business wouldn't benefit, but an employee, a self-employed individual can make contributions to EI for themselves. It's something that they must. I'm trying to think of the word for it, but it's an option open to self-employed individuals to pay into EI. At one point, it wasn't something that was an option for self-employed.
That's right,
Okay,
because
thank
when
you.
you're employed, your employer contributes and deducts from your pay. So they deduct a portion of your employment insurance and they contribute. So they pay a little bit more. So if, let's say, you're laid off, you are able to actually go to the EI and ask for unemployment. And that's what covers you. As a self-employed individual, they didn't have that option, as Jamie has said, and they could make contributions themselves on behalf of themselves, just in case they lose their job or their business doesn't work and they lose that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
There's also a question there from, yes, the question for Wendy about being eligible for employment insurance benefits. I had this question come up with a community organization that have been working with, and the person mentions they had a car accident last February and not able to work. These COVID-related benefits are for people who found themselves either unable to work because of COVID-19, whether they're self-isolating, whether they're caring for a family member or a child under 12. These Canada Revenue Agency benefits are not for someone who is looking for sick benefits. So if your employer doesn't have sick benefits, you could contact employment insurance, and they would look at your last couple of years of hours. But you would be looking in this situation more towards employment insurance for sickness benefits. These COVID benefits from the CRA are not related to sickness and unable to work because of a past event, I guess.
I think these are all the questions. Is there anything we missed in the chat? Oh, I came to Canada December 2019. Sorry. But I have to report the 1135E until 2020 April.
And I'm drawing a blank on T1135.
It's foreign income.
Oh, right. Okay.
Like in the tax return itself, it asks for foreign income men, and the only reason the CRA asks for it, not necessarily to tax you again. This is the fear of everybody. They keep asking me, I'm going to be taxed again. It just so CRA will know if you're qualified for any credits, and if you are, then how much. That's
yeah. And your whole income, whether in Canada or outside, is taken into consideration to determine your eligibility. So if you have foreign income, you would claim it.
Yeah. And since you came in December 2019, you should have filed a tax return last year for 2019. If not, let me know. I still have the software. I can do it for you. Right, Jamie? Like she has to.
Yes, yeah, even
Yeah.
for that portion of 2019, yes.
Yeah, even I remember one of the questions was someone arrived in the 31st of December of 2020. What about that? 31st of December. File a tax return?
Yeah.
I guess yes.
Yeah, and it's still 20. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay. The software itself, it's going to protect, protect any credits or anything like that. It will give us an idea. Again, whatever we do for your taxes, it's just an estimate. CRA has the final say. Great, I think that's it.
Olina, I
Right.
have a question. If you got already the laptop?
Yeah, I'll get to you later on that, Nolly.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Mhm.
Do you have any other questions for Jamie, Janae, or Wendy? Any tax-related questions? All good?
No.
If we missed any question, just copy and paste it again. Okay, I guess that's it.
All right.
Well, thank you so
Thank you
much
for having
Yeah.
us.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you. Thank you so much for coming and doing this for us. It was absolutely amazing information. One of the best sessions I have ever been to. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Really appreciate it. And I'm sure we're gonna eventually, during tax season, we'll have more questions. We will call the CRA line as well. There is lots of gray areas and we're all trying our best. And we are gonna start our tax clinic at the Newcomers Center to do your taxes next week, Monday. And I did send information. If you did not receive an email, maybe you're not in the email list, just email me so I can send you the details how we're gonna do it, how we're gonna receive your slips and all that. Sounds good?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
you.